Gopi Jana Vastrahari Gopi Jana Vastrahari Jai Raja Kala Kopa Vrinda Palo Sita Hari Vamsita Hari Jai Raja Kala Kopa Vrinda Palo Sita Hari Vamsita Hari Yogindra Bandhana Shri Nandanandana Raja Jana Baya Hari Yogindra Bandhana Shri Nandanandana Raja Jana Baya Hari Nabinane Raja Rupa Manohara Mohana Vamsi Hari Yashodanandana Kamsa Vishudhana Nikunjara Savilasi Yashodanandana Kamsa Vishudhana Nikunjara Savilasi Nabinane Raja Rupa Manohara Mohana Vamsi Hari Jambakana Rasa Parayana Vrindavitina Nivasi Ananda Vardhana Premani Chaitanya Purasharayo Jokakana Gana Chita Vinodana Samasta Guna Gana Dhamma Gana Chita Vinodana Samasta Guna Gana Dhamma Yamuna Jivana Kiri Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora Jivana Kiri Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora Yamuna Jivana Kiri Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora Yamuna Jivana Kiri Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora Namah Shivaya Krishna Jai Rakho Bhatna Mana Mohora Namah Shivaya Krishna Jai Rakho Bhatna Mana Mohora Krishna Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. Okay, we're reading Prabhupada Lilamrita Volume 4. This remote corner of the world, Gainesville, Florida. Alright, so Prabhupada was giving initiation to the devotees, and he pointed out to them they have to have neck beads. So Prabhupada said, it is just like you are on a boat, Prabhupada replied. If you are on a boat, then I cannot say you are not on the boat. Is it not? So you are on the transcendental boat. Therefore, you are on the transcendental platform. You cannot say that you are not, but the waves are coming and they are rocking the boat. Prabhupada gestured with his hands like a boat is rocking. So the waves of the material nature are coming, he confirmed, and they're rocking the boat. But when you become an expert boatman, then even in the greatest storm, you can stay steady and steer the boat, and it will not rock. Well, how does one become an expert boatman? Bhagavat asked. You become expert, Prabhupada explained, by becoming enthusiastic, dancing, be sincere, confident, determined, and patient. Seeing Bhagavat's anxious face, Prabhupada added, and you must be patient. Everything will come in due course. Did you hear this so far? Sitting informally on the bed in his abbreviated dhoti, Prabhupada had answered Bhagavat's question in such a way as to fully satisfy all the devotees. The devotees were already satisfied just to be with Prabhupada, but by his answers to their questions, not only they, but all devotees could take encouragement and be satisfied. They would tell the others what he had said, and everyone would cherish these instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Amarendra also had a question. Amarendra was intense and impassioned, and so was his inquiry. Before becoming a devotee, he had been a teacher, a leader of campus radicals. Now he wanted to bring that same intensity to bear in spreading Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada, Amarendra said, how can we make them take to this Krishna consciousness? What can we say when we go to preach to people? What can we say that will make them take it? His voice was heavy and forceful, demanding action. You simply ask them to please chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada replied, whether they take it or not, that is their business. That is between them and Krishna. But you have done your business. You have done your duty for Krishna by simply asking them, please chant Hare Krishna. How do we take our minds away from Maya and bring them to Krishna? Radha Ballabha asked. You must drag the mind. You must drag the mind, Prabhupada said. You mean drag the mind back? You mean drag the mind back to the sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And again he repeated, you must drag your mind back to the sound vibration. All right, Prabhupada looked around. You are satisfied now? The devotees responded, yes, Srila Prabhupada, thank you very much. Then they all left. It had been the greatest day and night of their lives. They all agreed, and they would never forget it. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Okay, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Did we have a class yesterday?
Yesterday we put Srila Prabhupada class.
Okay. So we're on text number
45.
Huh?
45.
Really?
44 got no Prabhupada.
You can read 44, but no purport, then you can recite 45 together. Right?
Okay.
Okay, 44 done with it. 44 did it. One from King's Vena's side.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah. Done with it.
44 is done, Guru Maharaj.
45.
Yeah.
Did you read 44?
Yes, I see. Where the person one from Krishna Vena's side. Or is it?
No,
No, that's Krishna's Vena side come up from Krishna Vena.
the dwarf. We had the dwarf. The dwarf-like person from Lord King Venus' body.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're in 44. There's no purport there. Did I? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Cheva Narottamam.
Devim Sarasatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswati Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Nasta Prayeshu Babadreshu.
Nastapeshu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttamashloke.
Bhagavati Uttamashloke.
Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki.
Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki.
So we're reading Canto 4, Chapter 14, the story of King Vena, beginning text 44. Kaka Krishna Brasvango Rashva Bahur Mahahanu Rashva Pan Ramna Nasagro Raktakshas Chandra
Murajaha.
Kaka Krishna Brasvango
Kaka Krishna Brasvango.
Kaka Krishna Brasvango Rashvabahur Mahahano Rashvabahur Mahahano Rashvapan Ramna Nasagro Rashvapan Namna Nasagro Raktasas Tamra Murdayaja Raktas Raktaksas Tamra Muraja Kaka Krishna Brashvango Rashvabahur Mahahano Rashvapan Namna Nasagro Raktasas Tamra Murdaja Kaka Krishna Brashvango Rashvabahur Mahahano Rashvapannamna Nasagro Raktakshas Tamra Murdaja. Anybody? Kaka Krishna as black as a crow. Ati Brashva very short. Anga his limbs. Brashva short. Bahu his arms. Maha big. Hano his jaws. Brashva short. But his legs. Nimna but flat. Nasa agra the tip of his nose. Rakta reddish. Aksha his eyes. Samra copper like. Murdaja his hair. Translation: This person born from King Venus' thighs was named Bahuka, and his complexion was as black as a crow's. All the limbs of his body were very short. His arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat. His eyes were reddish, and his hair copper-colored. No purport. We'll read the next verse. Text 45. Tam tu te vanatam dinam kim karomatiti viditnam nisideti abruvam tata sa nishadas tato ababat. Translation: He was very submissive and meek, and immediately after his birth, he bowed down and inquired, "Sirs, what shall I do?" The great sages replied, "Please sit down, Nishida." This Nishida, the father of the Nishida race, was born. You can repeat. He was very submissive and meek.
He was very submissive and meek.
And immediately after his birth, he bowed down and inquired, "Sirs, what shall I do?" The great sages replied, "Please sit down, Nishida." Thus, Nishida, the father of the Nishida race, was born. Purport. It is said in the Shastra that the head of the body represents the Brahmanas, the arms represents the Kshatriyas, the abdomen represents the Vaishyas, and the legs, beginning with the thighs, represent the Sudras. The Sudras are sometimes called black or Krishna. The Brahmanas are called Shukla or white, and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas are a mixture of black and white. However, those who are extraordinary white are said to have skin produced out of white leprosy. It may be concluded that white or a golden hue is the color of the higher caste, and black is the complexion of the Sudras. We can read the last verse of the chapter, finish the chapter. After this, after his, Nishida's birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities. As such, this Nishida class are always engaged in sinful activities like stealing, plundering, and hunting. Consequently, they are only allowed to live in the hills and forests. Purport. The Nishidas are not allowed to live in cities and towns because they are sinful by nature. As such, their bodies are very ugly, and their occupations are also sinful. We should, however, know that even these sinful men, who are sometimes called Kiratas, can be delivered from their sinful condition to the topmost Vaishnava platform by the mercy of a pure devotee. Engagement in the transcendental, loving, devotional service of the Lord can make anyone, however sinful he may be, fit to return home back to Godhead. One has only to become free from all contamination by the process of devotional service. In this way, everyone can become fit to return home back to Godhead. This is confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. Mami partavaya pashritya yepishu papayonaya striyo vaishyastata sudras tepiyanti param gatim. O son of Prita, those who take shelter of me, though they may be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, or as well as Sudras or workers, they all can approach the supreme destination. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 14th chapter, Qualities of Krishna, or 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Story of King Vena. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're hearing about how the sages dealt with the situation. First of all, they were confronted with the problem of a demonic king, Vena, demonic king, useless king, very sinful, King Vena. So the sages cursed him. Just by their words, they were able to curse him. They didn't need any weapons. They just used the words. So their words were so powerful that they caused the death of Maharaj Vena. But the problem came with the death of Maharaj Vena. It was an open field for all the thieves and dacoits to come and to take advantage and to rob innocent people and take away their wealth and cause a lot of trouble in the kingdom. So that was very bad. And the Brahmin and sages, they were worried about that, and they thought what to do. But they thought, well, go back. Right. Radha Krishna Vinayaki. The sages thought what to do to adjust the situation. They didn't want to bring him back to life. Didn't want to do that. The guy is a demon. But how to help the people? Because the Brahmin and sages were compassionate on the people. And they thought that although Vena is dead, the semen in the body of Vena is good because he's in the line from Dhruva Maharaj. The father of Vena was Maharaj Anga. And Maharaj Anga was a good king. And all of his forefathers were very good. And Dhruva Maharaj, of course, great, a very big devotee. So because the family was coming in the line of Dhruva Maharaj, they wanted to preserve the semen. So they churned the thighs, and from the thighs, this Nishida came out. He was a dwarf, and all the limbs were short and very, not very pleasing to see such people. So this Nishida, they have a whole race of people. We don't quite know how the race came out, but we hear about the first of the Nishidas. The first person was born from the thighs of Vena. And this Nishida took all the sinful, all the bad karma that was there in the body of Vena. He took that. And the Nishida, they don't get to live in the city. We don't want them living in the towns or the city. They have to live in the jungle. They have to live in the mountains and in the jungle and the forests. We don't want them living where there is civilized society, because it'll just create a disturbance with their stealing. And the nature is to do these kind of things. some people, they have that nature that even though they're punished repeatedly, but still they cannot give up the stealing habit. You get people, they come in England, you get people come, the Arabs, you know, they come to England and they go to the shops and they steal. They have a lot of money, but they go to the shops and steal. They just want, you know, they just do it, you know. They always say, it's okay, I can pay, you know, get fined or something, you know. No, it's okay. They just like that, they like to steal. So some people have that nature, that tendency. And Prabhupada saw that in Africa, when he was in Africa, when he was in Kenya. Now what happened was, they did his laundry, and then the devotee went to look for Prabhupada's laundry, couldn't find Prabhupada's laundry, it all disappeared. So then that night when they had the program, then they saw all the different devotees were wearing Prabhupada's clothes. Somebody had Prabhupada's kurta, and somebody had Prabhupada's dhoti, somebody had the pit. They'd all taken Prabhupada's clothes. So that nature is there in some places in the world. Some places, a lot of thieves, a lot of corruption. So the Nishadas, they're like a bit like that. They're this one race. I don't know, have they got their own planet anywhere? Is there a planet of the Nishadas anywhere? Huh? I never heard of them. Maybe they're living in the jungle. Just like in Borneo. In Borneo, they have headhunt skull people. They have the skulls there, right? Some places in Borneo, they have the skulls of people. So they're living in the jungle.
Cannibals.
Huh?
Cannibals.
Cannibals, yeah. Even in Malaysia, you've got people live in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
They don't like to come in the city, they just live in the jungle. But they're not warlike, or they're not violent, are they?
Not anymore, Mother.
Oh, not anymore. Before they...
Salvage.
Huh?
Yeah, savages.
Savages, yeah. So, it's, you could say it's karma, you know? People have that kind of karma, that born into that kind of situation. Just like in the universe, there's the lower planets. The demons, they live in the lower planets. And the lower planets, the bottom of the universe, there's no sunlight. So all the light comes from jewels. And they have jewels on their head, like that. Everything is lit by jewels. Bali Maharaj lives in the lower region, Sutala Loka, in the bottom of the universe. So the demons, they're not surrendered to the Lord. They don't follow the Lord's plan. They're always opposing and always fighting with the demon, with the demigods. And sometimes they even come up and conquer the demigods. But their actual place of residence is in the bottom of the universe, in the lower regions, where everything is dark. So here the Nishadas, they're also living in that kind of place. But Prabhupada says, even they can be made into devotees by association. If they get the association of devotees, they can be changed. So people like Rasikananda, maybe, have you ever read that book about Rasikananda? There's a book written by Bhaktivedanta Swami about Rasikananda. Rasikananda was the principal disciple of Shamananda. And Shamananda was one of the 3 main students in Jiva Goswami's school. There was Shamananda, Srinivasa Acharya, and Narottam Das. And they were all studying in the Gurukula of Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami sent them with the books. They had the books of the Goswamis. He wanted them to go to Bengal and deliver the books to all the devotees, because Lord Chaitanya had left the world. And after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya, and when Lord Chaitanya left, then Swarup Damodar also disappeared, and Gadadhar Pandit left the world, and all the great devotees, one after another, quickly they disappeared from the world. So the devotees were very depressed. But Jiva Goswami was sitting in Vrindavan, and he had all the writings of Rupa and Sanatan and Raghunath and all. He had all their writings. So Jiva Goswami arranged to send it all to Bengal. And he had the three best students, Srinivas Acharya, Shamananda Pandit, and Narottam Das Thakur. They were all very expert musicians. They were trained in classical music, and they could play instruments also. And you have Narottam Das Thakur, he was leading wonderful kirtans, and Srinivasa Acharya, he was also writing and singing songs, and he wrote the Goswami Astikam. And Narottam Das Thakur, he wrote many, many songs, beautiful songs, and in simple language, but with a very deep meaning. And of course we sing some of Narottam's songs. So anyway, Shamananda, what happened, the books all got stolen at one point. When they were bringing them to Bengal, they came to this one kingdom, and the king stole all the books. So they couldn't find the books. So Srinivas, he waited there to try to find out the books, and he found the books. But for some time they didn't know where the books were. The books had been stolen in the night. So when the books disappeared, they said, we will split up. And so Narottam went to Bengal, and Srinivas, he stayed there in that Jharkhand and Bihar. And Shamananda, he went to Orissa. He went over to Orissa, that area, Utkal. So Shamananda had this one disciple, Rasikananda. He was the very first disciple of Shamananda. So Rasikananda was a grihastha. He was in family life, and he spent all his money just feeding devotees. He always had a lot of devotees traveling with him. They go around, and they go to the villages. It was all villages. There were no towns or cities then. And they go to the different villages. And some of the villages, the people in charge of the village would be really nasty people, not very nice people. But Rasikananda could go there, and somehow he would win them over. There was one time he went to one village, and the guy in the village said to him, he said, you want me to believe everything you say? You want me to surrender to you? He said, right now there's a mad elephant destroying my village. Go there and tell that elephant to calm down and stop destroying the village. So it was a challenge. So Rasikananda said, all right. He went out and he saw the elephant, this huge big elephant with big tusks, and it was ripping everything apart in an angry mood. And Rasikananda just went up, he just came up to the elephant and he chanted the holy name, and the elephant just fell at his feet and began to cry, and became his disciple. He gave it the name Gopal. Yeah. It was a disciple of Rasikananda. And then he even had tigers. There were tigers coming in the forest, and he would give them food, and they would come to him and offer their obeisances to him. The tigers. So he was a very powerful spiritual teacher. And he converted these kind of people like that, these Nishidas. He could convert anybody to Krishna consciousness. It was so powerful. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam it says, Kirta Kirita said the Nishidas there also could be Kiritas. Kirita Prabhupada said usually means Africans. But Nishida, dwarf-like people. Some parts of Africa, you have pygmies, right? Pygmies, they're small-sized people. And they can be
Papua New
like,
Guinea.
And even
Even
in Malaysia, Maharaj, we used to see such people with such features those days, very short, living in jungles.
Midgets.
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 Even in Papua New
They
Guinea.
used to be short.
Papua New Guinea also.
Yes, Papua New Guinea.
Papua
Papua New Guinea.
New Guinea, yeah.
Usually they work in a circus. as
Huh?
clowns. Usually they will find a job in the circus as clowns.
Yeah. Get jobs in the
Yeah, not used to nothing.
Guru Maharaj, what about?
Particularly their nose, I remember their nose, Maharaj, used to be very flat.
Very flat. Yeah.
Guru Maharaj, what about in the Ramayan, Kevat, he was the boatman from the Nishada tribe. Is that the same?
Oh yeah, the boatman.
Yeah.
Who
Kevat.
rode Lord Rama and Sita and Lakshman across the Ganga.
Yeah.
He was he chanting that how wonderful it is that I'm taking the Lord across the river, but he can take me across the ocean of birth and death. Something like that.
Because the king who was so excited when Ram came, he was the Nishada king according to the
He was
Ramayana.
Nishida king.
Yes.
But he was a devotee. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the prayers of Sukadeva Goswami in second canto. One of the prayers said, Kirita Hunanda Pulinda Pokasha Abira Shumba Yavanaka Sadaya Yadita Papa Yadapashraya Shreda Shujanti Tasmai Prabha Vishnave Namaha. So Sukadeva Goswami is describing all different people of sinful races. And he mentions Kirita. So Prabhupada said Kirita is the Nishidas in African. And then Kirita, Hunandra, Huns, general, we say German, the Huns, the German.
German, I thought Chinese.
No, Hans is German.
Really?
Yeah.
And yet it looks
No.
lukewarm. They're so smart.
No, but materially smart.
Yeah.
Spiritual aware.
I thought the Chinese is
No, Chinese are the Kasha.
Kasha.
Yeah. Kasha dish, that's Kasha dish.
Even now they call the German bakeries the Hans bakeries.
Hans. No, the Han dynasty from China.
H-A-N-S.
Oh.
But the S is not pronounced.
So Kirita, Andhra, the part of India,
Yeah.
and Polinda, Pokasha, I don't know, different parts. Prabhupada mentions where they are, different places. So they're all different sinful races. Abira, Shumba, Yavana, Kash, Adaya. Adaya. It means Kasha Desh and others. And others, Adaya, others. They can all be delivered by Prabha Vishnave Namaha, by the power of the great devotee. So that's where it takes the great devotee, like Prabhupada. You could go there. When Prabhupada went to Africa, he told Brahmananda, he said, you're just preaching to the Indians. He said, I send you to Africa to preach to the Africans. You're just preaching to the Indians. Oh, Indians. Yeah. He said, where are the Africans? They said, oh, Prabhupada, nobody goes to the Africans. He said, come on, you're here in Africa, you have to preach to the Africans. And so they arranged a program for Prabhupada. They took Prabhupada into the African area. Prabhupada did a program. But usually the Indians, one mix. Now, a bit better. Now they've got more African devotees. Much better. We're getting more African.
Too many also sannyas, huh?
Yeah, some are sannyasi.
Just one Chinese sanyas at all.
Not yet.
No.
We're waiting for you.
This is recorded, Prabhu. It's recorded live.
Yeah. We have from Philippines, right? What's that?
Yeah,
Janardan.
Janardan Maharaj. Yeah.
First one, I think.
He joined in Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, he was living in Canada.
And the Japanese is Banu Maharaj. Also joined Canada.
Yeah. No, Bano was living in Japan. He met Prabhupada, he met the devotees in Japan. He was studying in Japan. Yeah. Although he was from Canada, but he was studying Japanese and he was there in Japan when he met the devotees. And then Prabhupada came and Prabhupada said, bring him to India. So they took Bano to India. So anyway, all these different sinful races, they can all be delivered by the power of the devotee. It just takes that devotee, that great devotee, pure devotee. Just like Lord Chaitanya could go everywhere, and anybody who saw him, they became full of Krishna prem just by seeing Lord Chaitanya. And then people who saw Lord Chaitanya, if somebody else saw, if you saw someone who saw Lord Chaitanya, then they could give you Krishna prem. Just like, COVID or something, somebody's got COVID, they can easily give it to somebody else, and then somebody else can give it to somebody else, and the whole world got it, right? Spread all over the world.
Contagious.
Yeah, contagious. They had typhoid. When there was a typhoid problem, there was this girl called Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary. They didn't know who was spreading, who had got the disease. Everybody was getting typhoid, and they were wondering where it's coming from. So many people were going, what's happening? And then they found out there was this one woman, one young woman. Her name was Mary, and she was carrying the typhoid. She didn't know, and everywhere, everybody got the typhoid. So the same way, if you have Krishna praying, if you have bhakti, if you have pure devotion, you can give it to everyone. Wherever you go, you can distribute Krishna consciousness. So that's what we'd like to see. Change the face of the world. All the sinful people can become devotees. Prabhupada, one devotee had, was it Prabhupada had a dream? Prabhupada had a dream. People were drinking, the drunkards, and they were starting to chant Hare Krishna and becoming devotees. So Prabhupada was telling devotees, I had a dream, and in the dream, all these drunkards, they were all starting to chant Hare Krishna. And so a devotee asked Prabhupada, were any devotees becoming drunkards? And Prabhupada said, no, impossible. He said, devotees, their names are already in the books. They're already delivered.
Devotees are intoxicated in another way. Devotees are intoxicated with love of God.
Yeah, they're intoxicated with Krishna prem. Right. That is the highest intoxication. Krishna prem. So like that, devotees, once they take to Krishna consciousness, they can never go back to that life again. And the people who are engaged in that horrible life, drinking and so many other sinful activities, they can all be delivered, they can be saved by the mercy of the devotee. It just takes the devotee to go and to try and give them some mercy. Give them, they make simply wonderfuls. Simply wonderfuls? They make simply wonderfuls. And distribute simply wonderfuls, the people will become simply wonderful. You want to make everyone a simply wonderful. Make them all nice devotees.
It's just milk powder, butter, and basin. Just mix them together, right?
It's powder. Well, it's got powdered sugar.
powder sugar,
powdered sugar,
powder milk,
butter, and powdered milk.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they put some raisins in if you want.
If you want, yeah. You melt the butter and mix it with the powdered milk and powdered sugar. Sugar, not just ordinary sugar, powdered sugar. Yeah, you got to grind. You can grind the sugar. Prabhupada made it himself. Yes. Anyway, we want to try to give Krishna consciousness everywhere without discrimination. We don't think who is qualified and who is not. Everywhere. Krishna is in everyone's heart. So everyone can become devotee. It just takes our own effort, our own desire to go there and to reach out to the people to give them Krishna consciousness. And you don't know who's going to become a devotee. Sometimes we go to the people where they're more pious, But the people who are more pious, there's so much in the Modi goodness, they don't want Krishna consciousness. They're so attached to the Modi goodness. Sometimes we do better with people who are more in the mode of ignorance and passion. That they're suffering more. They're more ready to take Krishna consciousness. Okay, any question? Comment? Alright, Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada.